Welcome to my channel, where shadows whisper and haunted tales come alive. Tonight, we're diving deep into the misty waters and dark legends of America's most haunted lakes. Each lake holds secret stelaes of lost souls, chilling apparitions, and eerie echoes that still linger under the moonlight. So, dim the lights, grab a blanket, and prepare yourself to journey into the unknown. As we uncover the 20 most haunted lakes in the United States, beware, for some waters run deeper than you think. Lake Shawnee, located in the heart of West Virginia, is a place of stark contrasts. At first glance, it appears to be a peaceful, retreater, calm body of water surrounded by lush greenery, perfect for fishing, boating, or simply enjoying nature. But beneath this tranquil surface lies a darker, more unsettling history that many locals and visitors alike whisper about in hushed tones. The land where Lake Shawnee now rests was once home to the Shawnee Native Americans. These indigenous people thrived here for generations, living in harmony with the land and waters. However, their peaceful existence was violently disrupted in the 18th century, when colonial settlers forcefully displaced them. This brutal upheaval left scars not only on the landscape, but also on the spiritual fabric of the area. Many believe that the lake and its surroundings remain haunted by the restless spirits of those who suffered during this turbulent period. Stories passed down through the generations tell of tragic events, murders, massacres, and other acts of violence that stained the soil. The Shawnee tribe's forced removal is remembered as a painful chapter, one that did not end with their departure. Instead, locals say the spirits of the displaced and those who perished continue to linger, unable to find peace. Visitors to Lake Shawnee often report strange occurrences that defy easy explanation. On quiet nights, when the wind is still and the moon casts a pale glow over the water, eerie chanting can sometimes be heard drifting across the lake. The sound is soft at first, almost like the gentle murmur of a distant ritual, but it grows louder and more distinct, as if a group of voices is gathered nearby, calling out across time. Those who have heard this phenomenon describe it as chilling and otherworldly, sending a shiver down their spines. Adding to the lake's eerie reputation are frequent reports of shadowy figures moving near the shoreline. These shadows appear at the edges of vision, disappearing when directly looked at but unmistakably present. Many have claimed to see a glowing figure hovering by the water's edge, a woman dressed in traditional Native American attire, her form faint and ethereal. Locals believe this apparition to be a Native American maiden, eternally mourning the loss of her people and homeland. The nearby abandoned Shawnee Reservation amplifies the sense of haunting. Once a vibrant community, the site is now overgrown and silent, but the spirits are said to remain active there. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers are drawn to the reservation, hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural or capture proof of the paranormal. One particular story that stands out involves a visitor who camped near the lake and awoke in the middle of the night to the sound of soft singing. When he stepped outside his tent, the night was still and empty, but the haunting melody lingered in the air. He reported seeing a shadowy woman standing at the water's edge, her head bowed as if in sorrow. When he called out, she vanished instantly, leaving behind only the echo of her song. Some speculate that these are spirits reaching out from the depths, restless and eager to make contact. The lake's dark history has also seeped into local folklore and warnings. Elders caution visitors to show respect and avoid disturbing the waters after dark. They tell tales of those who ignored these warnings and experienced strange accidents or vanished without explanation. Some say the lake demands reverence, and any disrespect invites misfortune. Despite or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, Lake Shawnee remains a popular destination. It attracts not only those seeking outdoor recreation, but also those fascinated by the paranormal. For many, the lake offers a rare blend of natural beauty and supernatural mystery, a place where the past is never truly buried and the spirits of history still speak through the whispering winds and rippling waves. Whether the stories are true or simply the product of imagination fueled by history, one thing is certain: Lake Shawnee is not just a body of water. It is a resting place for memories, a keeper of secrets, and a reminder that some wounds run too deep to ever fully heal. The haunting echo of a land's sorrow and the lingering presence of spirits who call Lake Shawnee home. Lake Delavan, nestled in the rolling hills of Wisconsin, is a picturesque destination known for its sparkling waters and recreational charm. Each summer, locals and tourists flock to its shores for boating, fishing, and swimming, enjoying the natural beauty and serenity the lake offers. Yet beneath this tranquil surface lies a darker history, a secret world of tragedy and haunting that continues to captivate those who dare to listen. Throughout the years, Lake Delavan has been the setting of numerous drownings, some tragic accidents, others shrouded in mystery. The water, while inviting by day, has claimed many lives, and locals believe that restless spirits remain bound to the lake in eternal sorrow. Among these stories, none is more enduring or chilling than the legend of the Lady in White. The Lady in White is said to appear on moonlit nights, wandering along the shore in a flowing white gown that billows softly in the breeze. Witnesses describe her as a graceful yet sorrowful figure, her face pale and ethereal, as if caught between worlds. She moves silently, sometimes pausing to gaze longingly out over the dark waters, before vanishing without a trace. Her sudden appearances have left many shaken, and the stories about her have been passed down through generations, growing more haunting with each retelling. According to local lore, the Lady in White was once a young bride named Emily. On the day of her wedding, a joyful occasion meant to mark the beginning of a new life, tragedy struck. As the ceremony concluded and the festivities moved toward the lakeside, Emily slipped and fell into the water. The lake's depths claimed her before anyone could save her, leaving the community devastated. Her heartbroken and unable to let go, is said to have searched the shores for her every night after, calling out her name to the still waters. Some say that his grief was so profound that it tethered Emily's spirit to the lake, causing her to return as the Lady in White, forever waiting for the groom who never came. Sightings of the Lady in White are often accompanied by other strange occurrences. People report feeling sudden drops in temperature near the water's edge, as if a cold breath passed over them. Unexplained whispers and soft sobbing have been heard, carried on the wind, sometimes rising to an urgent pleading. Shadows flicker in the corners of vision, and some claim that their cameras or phones malfunction when trying to capture the apparition. One particularly eerie encounter was shared by a group of friends camping near the lake late one summer. Around midnight, they noticed a faint glow near the shoreline and saw a woman in white standing motionless, staring into the darkness. One of the friends called out, but the figure only turned slowly toward them before disappearing into the night. The group reported feeling an overwhelming sadness and unease that lingered long after the encounter. The lake itself seems to harbor these secrets in its depths. Several divers and fishermen have told stories of strange sensations, underwater cold spots that defy explanation, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures beneath the surface. Some recount their fishing lines tugging mysteriously without any catch on the hook, as if something unseen was playing with them from below. On calm nights, the water can appear unnaturally still, almost glass-like, reflecting not just the stars, but perhaps something more, an unseen world beneath the surface. Local residents are familiar with the lake's reputation and often warn visitors to respect its power. Tales of people ignoring the warnings, swimming late at night, or venturing too far from shore end in mysterious disappearances, or accidents that only deepen the lake's legend. Some say that Lake Delavan demands respect, and that disturbing its waters after dark invites misfortune. The Lady in White, they believe, is both a guardian and a warning, a reminder of the lake's tragic past and the restless spirits it holds. Over the years, attempts have been made to research and document the lake's hauntings, but the evidence remains elusive. Photographs sometimes capture strange orbs of light hovering above the water, while audio recordings pick up faint, unexplainable noises. Paranormal investigators have visited Lake Delavan, drawn by the tales, yet many leave with more questions than answers, haunted by the inexplicable sensations they experienced on the shore. Despite, or perhaps because of its dark history, Lake Delavan continues to attract visitors. Some come seeking adventure, others hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural, while many simply want to experience the beauty of the lake during the day, unaware of the shadows that might return with the night. The dual nature of Lake Delavana, place of both life and death, joy and sorrow, makes it a unique and compelling destination, one where history and legend intertwine. The Lady in White remains the most poignant figure in the lake's stories. She symbolizes lost love and the enduring pain of tragedy. Her silent vigil is a haunting reminder that not all stories end happily, and that some souls are trapped in moments of heartbreak and longing. For those who see her, the experience is both beautiful and terrifying, a glimpse into a world where the line between life and death blurs, and where the past never truly fades away. As the seasons change and the lake shifts with the tides of time, the stories of Lake Delavan continue to ripple through the community. The water's surface may be calm, but beneath it, memories and spirits stir, echoing with the voices of the lost. Whether you believe in ghosts or see the tales as folklore, the lake's haunted legacy remains an indelible part of its identity, a chilling testament to the mysteries that lie just below the surface, waiting to be discovered. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world is still and the lake reflects the fading stars, perhaps you might hear a soft whisper on the breeze or glimpse a figure in white standing by the water's edge. If you do, remember the story of the Lady in White and tread carefully. Some tragedies are too deep to forget, and some spirits are destined to roam forever. Lake Lanier, located in the northern part of Georgia, is a sprawling man-made reservoir that stretches across more than 38,000 acres. Its sparkling waters and scenic surroundings attract millions of visitors every year, eager to enjoy boating, fishing, and swimming in the summer months. However, beneath this beautiful surface lies a chilling and tragic history that casts a dark shadow over the lake, earning it a reputation as one of the most haunted places in the region. Created in the 1950s with the construction of the Beaufort Dam, Lake Lanier was formed by flooding vast areas of land, including several small towns, farms, and cemeteries. Entire communities were submerged to make way for the reservoir, and with them, the lives, memories, and spirits of the people who once called that land home. Many locals believe that the souls of those displaced or drowned during the flooding remain trapped beneath the lake's surface, restless and unable to move on. Over the decades, countless stories have surfaced about strange occurrences on and around Lake Lanier. Boaters often tell tales of sudden, unexplained cold spots and the sensation of invisible hands gripping their ankles beneath the water. Swimmers have reported feeling a strong force pulling them down, even when no currents or underwater obstacles are present. These mysterious underwater encounters have fueled rumors that the lake's depths conceal more than just old town foundations and forgotten relics. They hide spirits desperate to reach the living. One of the most unsettling aspects of Lake Lanier's haunted reputation is the eerie sounds that people hear late at night. Visitors have described hearing laughter, crying, and shouting echoing across the water when no other boats or people are nearby. These noises are often sudden and unexplained, sometimes sounding like a party that vanished into thin air or a distress call lost in the wind. Campers and locals alike have reported these haunting sounds, which seem to come from nowhere and vanish just as quickly, leaving an unnatural silence in their wake. Divers who have explored the murky depths of Lake Lanier also speak of strange and frightening experiences. Many recount seeing faces in the dark water, some appear pleading, eyes wide with fear and desperation, while others twist into expressions of anger or sorrow. These faces seem to watch divers from the shadows, fading away when approached. Some divers believe these are the trapped spirits of those who drowned during the flooding or lost their lives in accidents over the years. These underwater visions add to the lake's reputation as a place where the past refuses to stay buried. Adding to the eerie atmosphere are numerous reports of boats malfunctioning mysteriously in the middle of the lake. Engines stall for no apparent reason. Radios crackle with static or distant voices, and compasses spin wildly. Many boaters take these events as signs of a supernatural presence watching over the waters. warning them to respect the lake's dark history. Locals warn visitors to avoid swimming or boating after dark, cautioning that the lake's cold, deep waters hide dangers far beyond natural hazards. The story of Lake Lanier's haunting is deeply tied to the sorrow of lost communities. Before the dam was built, the area was home to small towns like Oscarville and other settlements filled with families who had lived there for generations. When the decision was made to create the lake, residents were forced to leave behind homes, schools, churches, and cemeteries. Many graves were relocated, but some were left untouched or forgotten beneath the rising waters. It is believed that these unmarked graves contribute to the restless spirits that haunt the lake. One particularly chilling tale involves a local fisherman who claimed to have encountered a ghostly figure near the shore. According to his story, he saw a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothing standing silently by the water's edge, staring out into the lake. When he called out to her, she vanished into the mist. The fisherman later learned that a woman matching the description had drowned in that area decades earlier. Stories like these perpetuate the belief that those who died tragically in the area returned to haunt Lake Lanier's shores. Another unsettling legend speaks of the underwater cemetery, a submerged graveyard beneath the lake's surface. Some divers and locals say that on certain nights, the water above the graves glows faintly, and ghostly figures can be seen walking underwater, unable to escape their watery prison. Others tell of hearing funeral hymns and distant church bells coming from beneath the waves, as if the dead are still mourning their lost homes and loved ones. These legends are not just tales told around campfires. They are reinforced by a series of unexplained drownings and accidents that have occurred at Lake Lanier over the years. Many of these incidents involve swimmers or boaters who vanish suddenly, with no clear explanation or recovery. Families of the missing often speak of strange noises or visions before the accidents, fueling speculation that the lake's spirits are not only present but active. Despite its haunted reputation, Lake Lanier remains a popular destination. Its beauty and recreational appeal continue to draw visitors year-round. However, many who live nearby or frequent the lake take its legends seriously. Local residents often share warnings about respecting the lake and being cautious after dark, knowing that the water holds memories and mysteries far beyond what can be seen. The chilling stories of Lake Lanier remind us that beneath the serene surface of this Georgia lake lies a complex history marked by loss, displacement, and tragedy. The spirits that many believe linger there serve as a haunting reminder of the lives forever changed by the creation of the reservoir. Whether one believes in ghosts or views these tales as folklore, the eerie encounters and unexplained phenomena continue to fuel Lake Lanier's status as one of the most haunted lakes in the United States. For those brave enough to visit after sunset, the lake offers more than just natural beauty, offers a glimpse into the unknown. The cold water, the whispered voices, the sudden chills, and the faces in the depths are all part of a haunting legacy that refuses to be forgotten. Lake Lanier is a place where history and the supernatural collide, where the past reaches out to the present, and where the restless spirits beneath the waves remind us that some stories are never truly over. Lake Pontchartrain, sprawling over 600 square miles just north of New Orleans, is much more than a vast body of water. It is a place steeped in mystery, superstition, and haunting tales that echo the rich and often dark cultural history of Louisiana. Known not only for its natural beauty, but also for the tragic events that have unfolded along its shores, Lake Pontchartrain has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted lakes in the United States. The lake's eerie aura is intertwined deeply with New Orleans' legendary voodoo culture, a blend of African, French, and Native American spiritual traditions. This unique cultural backdrop enriches the ghost stories surrounding the lake, creating an atmosphere thick with superstition and the supernatural. The waters of Lake Pontchartrain have long been a graveyard of sorts, holding the memories of countless shipwrecks, drownings, and more recently, the devastating victims of Hurricane Katrina. These tragic events have left behind restless spirits believed to haunt the lake and its surrounding marshlands. Many witnesses report strange and unsettling phenomena. One of the most common accounts involves phantom boats. These ghostly vessels are seen gliding silently across the lake's dark waters with no crew aboard. They appear suddenly, drifting eerily under the moonlight, only to vanish without a trace. Some who have observed these apparitions describe them as old-fashioned wooden boats, weathered and worn, their sails hanging limp as if caught in a timeless drift. Fishermen and boaters often speak of these ghost ships, recounting experiences of a cold chill in the air and a sense of being watched by unseen eyes. Adding to the unsettling experiences are reports of ghostly voices calling out from beneath the water. Fishermen sometimes hear warnings whispered on the wind, voices that caution of impending storms or disaster. These spectral calls have become part of local lore, with many believing they serve as protective warnings from spirits who once perished in the lake's depths. Others dismiss these sounds as tricks of the wind and water, but those who have heard them say the experience is deeply unnerving and impossible to ignore. Along the marshy banks that fringe Lake Pontchartrain, some have seen ghostly figures walking silently, their faces distorted with sorrow and longing. These spirits appear draped in tattered clothing, their movements slow and mournful. They seem trapped between worlds, unable to cross over, forever bound to the lake's misty edges. Locals tell stories of these lost souls, suggesting that they are the remnants of those who drowned or were caught in the lake's many storms over the centuries. Among the lake's many haunting legends, one stands out as particularly disturbing and enduring: the story of the drowned bride. This apparition is said to appear near the Causeway Bridge, a long stretch of roadway that crosses the lake and connects the city of New Orleans to the North Shore communities. The bride is described as a pale, ghostly figure, wearing a wet, flowing white dress that glows faintly under the moonlight. Her hair is tangled and dripping, and her eyes hold a deep, eternal sadness. According to legend, the bride was once a young woman who drowned on her wedding day. Some say she fell into the lake by accident, while others believe she was swept away during a violent storm as she tried to reach her groom. Her spirit, unable to find peace, is said to roam the banks of the lake and the causeway, searching endlessly for her lost love. Those who have encountered her describe a chilling presence, a mixture of grief and longing, so powerful it seems to echo across the water. The drowned bride has become a symbol of the lake's tragic past, a reminder of lives cut short and dreams unfulfilled. Motorists crossing the causeway at night sometimes report sudden drops in temperature, unexplained car troubles, or glimpses of the bride's glowing figure standing by the roadside. These encounters, while terrifying, are often treated with reverence, as if the spirit deserves sympathy rather than fear. Beyond the ghost stories, Lake Pontchartrain has witnessed many real-life tragedies that feed into its haunted reputation. Hurricane Katrina, one of the most devastating natural disasters in American history, caused unprecedented flooding in the area. The lake overflowed its banks, engulfing entire neighborhoods and claiming the lives of hundreds. The memories of that tragedy linger, and many believe that the spirits of those lost during Katrina remain tied to the lake, their anguish surfacing in the eerie sounds and sightings reported by residents. Paranormal investigators have been drawn to Lake Pontchartrain for decades, attempting to capture proof of the supernatural. While hard evidence remains elusive, many claim to have recorded unexplained noises, disembodied voices, whispers, and cries for help on audio devices. Photographs taken near the water's edge sometimes reveal orbs of light or faint, ghostly figures barely visible in the shadows. These findings, combined with the countless eyewitness testimonies, continue to fuel the lake's reputation as a paranormal hotspot. Despite its haunted history, Lake Pontchartrain remains a vital and beloved part of Louisiana's landscape. The lake provides habitat for diverse wildlife, supports local fishing industries, and offers recreational opportunities for residents and tourists alike. However, beneath its surface and along its shores lies a constant reminder that nature and history can intertwine with the supernatural in unsettling ways. For those who venture to the lake after dusk, the atmosphere changes. The quiet lapping of the water seems to carry whispers from another time, and the cool night air feels charged with unseen presence. Whether it's the phantom boats drifting silently, the ghostly voices warning of storms, or the sorrowful bride searching for her lost love, the spirits of Lake Pontchartrain remain a powerful presence. These stories are not just old legends or mere folklore. They are woven into the fabric of the lake and the communities that surround it. They remind us of the fragility of life and the enduring impact of tragedy. Lake Pontchartrain stands as a testament to memory, both human and spectral, a place where the past is never fully at rest, and the spirits of those lost continue to haunt the waters and marshlands. Anyone who visits Lake Pontchartrain, especially at night, might feel the weight of these stories pressing in, a haunting sense that beneath the placid waters lies a world of sorrow, mystery, and restless souls. The lake's ghosts serve as a chilling reminder that some places carry the echoes of tragedy and loss, forever etched into the land and water, waiting for those who dare to listen. Lake Michigan, one of the 5 Great Lakes, stretches across the borders of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan, its vast waters touching the lives of millions. Its beauty is undeniable. Crystal-clear waves lap against sandy shores, and bustling cities like Chicago thrive along its coastline. Yet beneath this serene surface lies a darker, haunting history that has captured the imagination of locals and visitors for generations. The lake's immense size and treacherous storms have claimed countless lives over the centuries. Early settlers, sailors, and fishermen who ventured into its depths often faced perilous conditions, and many never returned. The lake's bottom is littered with the remains of shipwrecks, forgotten vessels, swallowed by sudden tempests or hidden shoals. These underwater graves serve as eerie reminders of the lake's unforgiving nature and contribute to its haunted reputation. Among the most enduring tales is that of the ghost ship of Lake Michigan. This spectral schooner is said to materialize suddenly through thick fog or mist, its tattered sails billowing silently despite the absence of wind. Sailors and fishermen recount sightings of the ghostly vessel appearing on stormy nights, often when the waves are rough and the sky dark. It drifts slowly along the horizon, its outline flickering like a fading mirage. Then, just as mysteriously as it appeared, the ship vanishes, leaving behind only a cold mist and an unsettling silence. This phantom schooner has become a symbol of the many souls lost to Lake Michigan's depths. Some believe the ship is crewed by the spirits of those who perished in past shipwrecks, eternally doomed to sail the lake's waters. Others think it's a warning, a harbinger of storms and danger for those who might follow its ghostly course. The cries of drowned sailors are another haunting element woven into Lake Michigan's lore. On stormy nights, when the wind howls and the rain lashes the shore, some claim to hear faint, anguished wails carried across the waves. These cries are said to echo from shipwrecked victims, lost to the lake's merciless waters, their voices reaching out to the living as a chilling reminder of tragedy. Fishermen and beachgoers alike report feeling a sudden drop in temperature accompanied by these ghostly sounds, making the night air thick with unease. Shadowy figures walking along the shore are also common in local ghost stories. On certain moonlit evenings, visitors have described seeing vague, dark shapes moving just beyond the reach of the light. These figures are often spotted near old piers or abandoned docks, where the lake meets the land. Witnesses say the shadows pause to look out over the water, as if waiting or searching, before disappearing into thin air. Some speculate these apparitions are the ghosts of fishermen or sailors who drowned and returned to wander the shoreline, forever tethered to the place they loved. Lake Michigan's haunted reputation is further fueled by the stories of those who mysteriously vanished. Over the years, many boats and their crews have disappeared without a trace, swallowed by sudden storms or lost to the vastness of the lake. Families of the missing have passed down tales of strange lights and eerie noises heard near the locations where their loved ones were last seen, lending a personal and poignant touch to the lake's legends. The lake's shoreline towns and cities also carry their own ghost stories connected to the water. In places like Chicago, Milwaukee, and Grand Rapids, locals recount Eerie encounters near the lakefront, apparitions seen from the piers, unexplained shadows on the beaches, and phantom footsteps heard late at night. Many of these stories involve people dressed in old-fashioned clothing, suggesting they might be remnants of a bygone era, still bound to the places they once walked. Despite these unsettling tales, Lake Michigan remains a beloved destination for recreation and relaxation. Its sandy beaches, boating marinas, and scenic parks draw millions each year. However, those who venture there after dark or during stormy weather often find themselves reminded of the lake's mysterious and sometimes sinister side. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Lake Michigan's haunted reputation. Some have attempted to capture evidence of the ghost ship or record the cries of lost sailors using specialized audio and video equipment. While definitive proof remains elusive, many investigators report inexplicable sensations, cold spots, sudden gusts of wind, and fleeting shadows that reinforce the lake's eerie atmosphere. Stories of the ghostly schooner, the voices carried by the wind, and the shadowy figures along the shore persist not only as local legend, but as warnings from the past. They serve as chilling reminders of the lives lost and the power of the lake's waters. For many, Lake Michigan is more than just a natural wonder. It's a place where history and the supernatural intertwine, where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. Whether these tales are the product of active imaginations or encounters with the unknown, the legends of Lake Michigan continue to captivate. They remind us that beneath the beauty of nature lies a depth of stories of tragedy, loss, and spirits who may still roam the vast expanse of water, searching, waiting, and haunting the shores where life and death meet. Lake Tahoe, straddling the border of California and Nevada, is often celebrated as one of America's most breathtaking natural wonders. Its crystal-clear waters, surrounded by towering pines and snow-capped peaks, attract tourists, nature lovers, and adventurers year-round. But behind its postcard-perfect beauty lies a much darker and more mysterious side, one filled with legends, eerie encounters, and chilling accounts that have been passed down for generations. The Washoe people, Native Americans who lived in the Tahoe Basin for centuries before European settlers arrived, speak of a powerful and dangerous entity they call the water spirit. According to their stories, the lake is alive with an ancient being that watches over it. This spirit is said to protect the purity of the waters, rewarding those who treat the lake with respect, but punishing those who pollute or exploit it. The punishments, they say, can be sudden and merciless, from storms that appear without warning to strange currents that drag swimmers beneath the surface. Over the decades, modern visitors have reported experiences that sound eerily similar to these old legends. On calm, sunny days, sudden fog banks have been known to roll across the lake, blinding boaters and swallowing small vessels into a gray void. In several documented incidents, boats have disappeared without a trace, their wreckage never recovered. Survivors tell of hearing muffled cries and splashing in the mist, only to find nothing when the fog clears. Swimmers and divers have also described unsettling encounters. Some claim they have felt something tugging at their ankles or pulling them downward, despite there being no visible cause. A few divers have spoken of seeing strange, shadowy figures moving in the depths, human-shaped but darker than the surrounding water. One local diver recounted a chilling moment when a pale face appeared inches from his mask. Fishermen on the lake sometimes report seeing ghostly shapes drifting just below the waterline. In the moonlight, these shadows appear almost human, floating silently before dissolving into the darkness. On windless nights, when the surface is glassy and still, a faint scream has been heard echoing across the water. No source is ever found, and the sound fades as quickly as it comes. The strange activity isn't limited to the lake itself. In the surrounding mountains, particularly during the harsh winter months, another set of ghost stories circulates. Early settlers, drawn to the region's beauty, often underestimated the severity of Tahoe's winters. Some became trapped in their cabins or were caught in blizzards while traveling, never to be seen alive again. Locals say that their spirits still linger, especially in the old ski lodges and mountain inns that dot the shoreline. Guests have reported waking in the middle of the night, to the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow outside their windows, even during times when the surrounding area was undisturbed. Others have heard the sound of a door opening and closing in the hallway, only to find no one there. Some describe the faint smell of wood smoke and wet wool, as though an unseen traveler had just stepped in from the storm. One of the more persistent tales comes from a lodge on the Nevada side of the lake. Staff members tell of a spectral woman in a tattered red coat who appears during heavy snowstorms. She is seen standing by the fireplace in the lobby, her back to the room, as if warming herself. When approached, she vanishes into thin air, leaving behind only the faint scent of pine. According to local lore, she was a mail carrier in the late 1800s, who became lost during a blizzard and froze to death before reaching safety. In another case, a group of skiers staying near the lake awoke to see a man in old-fashioned winter gear silently standing at the foot of one of their beds. His face was pale and expressionless, and when one of them reached for the light, he simply faded away. The next morning, their room was found to be locked from the inside, with no signs of forced entry. Lake Tahoe's combination of natural danger and unexplained phenomena has fueled countless theories. Some believe the lake's great depth, over 1,600 feet in some areas, hides not only lost boats but bodies preserved by the cold, oxygen-poor water. Rumors persist of perfectly intact remains resting on the bottom, occasionally glimpsed by deep-water divers before vanishing into the darkness. Others suspect that magnetic anomalies in the area contribute to the strange disappearances and disorienting fog. Whether or not these stories are supernatural, they have become an inseparable part of Lake Tahoe's identity. For every sunny postcard or travel ad showing happy boaters and skiers, there's a whispered reminder from locals to treat the lake with respect. Even the most skeptical visitors admit that Tahoe has a certain atmosphere, a feeling that someone or something is always watching. On quiet nights, when the mountains are wrapped in snow and the lake is shrouded in fog, it's easy to imagine the water spirits still patrolling the depths, ancient and restless. And for those who dare to venture too far, the warnings of the past may become the nightmares of the present. In Lake Tahoe, beauty and mystery walk hand in hand, and the line between paradise and peril is thinner than the mist that drifts across its still, dark waters. Lake Texoma, resting on the Texas-Oklahoma border, is one of the largest reservoirs in the United States, attracting millions of visitors each year. Created in the 1940s with the construction of Denison Dam, it stretches over 89,000 acres and has long been a hotspot for fishing, boating, camping, and water sports. But beneath its sparkling surface lies a far darker history, and a collection of ghost stories that have unsettled locals and visitors for decades. Before the dam was built, the land where Lake Texoma now sits was home to sprawling farmland, small rural communities, and family cemeteries. When the area was flooded to create the reservoir, many homes, barns, roads, and even graveyards were swallowed by the rising water. In some cases, bodies from the cemeteries were exhumed and relocated. But local whispers claim not every resting place was properly disturbed. Entire neighborhoods now rest at the bottom of the lake, eerily preserved in the murky depths. For many, this submerged past is the root of Lake Texoma's haunted reputation. Fishermen are often the first to share stories. On quiet, early mornings, some have reported seeing a lone figure standing on the shoreline, dressed in old-fashioned fishing clothes. This phantom fisherman is always described the same way. An older man, stooped slightly, with a weathered hat pulled low over his brow. Witnesses say they watch him cast a line into the water in complete silence. But when they try to approach or call out to him, he simply vanishes into thin air, leaving nothing but ripples in the water where he stood. One angler recalled an especially chilling encounter. It was just after dawn on a foggy autumn morning. The man noticed a fisherman standing near the mouth of a cove. Thinking it was another early riser, he rowed closer to strike up a conversation. As the mist thinned, he realized the figure had no clear facial features, just a blur where the eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. The next moment, the figure dissolved into the fog itself, leaving the man trembling in his boat. But perhaps the most famous and unsettling legend of Lake Texoma is the story of the drowned woman. The tale has been told in countless variations, but most agree on the core details. Sometime in the mid-20th century, a young mother and her small child were out on the water when their boat capsized during a sudden storm. Rescue crews managed to save the child, but the mother was swept away by the waves. Her body was later recovered near one of the lake's inlets, but local lore insists her spirit never truly left. On calm, windless nights, especially when the moonlight reflects off the lake like glass, people claim to hear her cries. The sound is described as a desperate wail, rising and falling as though carried on the water. Some say it's the most sorrowful voice they've ever heard. Not just screaming, but calling out for someone. Those who believe in the legend are convinced she's still searching for her lost child, unaware that the child survived long ago. Campers staying near the shoreline have reported waking in the night to what they thought was a woman calling for help. A group of friends once claimed they saw a pale figure in a white dress walking along the shallows, the hem of her gown floating on the water's surface. When they shone their flashlights toward her, the beam passed right through her before she faded into nothing. There are other strange happenings, too. Boaters sometimes speak of sudden, unexplained cold spots in the middle of the lake, where the air chills sharply despite the summer heat. Divers exploring the lake's depths have reported seeing intact houses, barns, and even vehicles resting on the lake bed, eerie reminders of the communities that once stood there. A few divers have refused to return to certain locations, claiming they felt watched or heard faint voices through the water. Even locals who don't believe in ghosts admit the lake has an uncanny atmosphere at times. Heavy fog can roll in unexpectedly, muffling sound and distorting visibility. On these mornings, the lake becomes a quiet, otherworldly expanse where even experienced boaters can lose their bearings. The shadows of half-submerged trees and the shapes of abandoned docks rising from the water only add to the unease. Some historians suggest the ghost stories are partly a way for residents to preserve the memory of the land that once existed here. Entire family histories were displaced by the creation of Lake Texoma, and the submerged towns became part of local folklore. The tales of the phantom fisherman and the drowned woman may be symbols of those lost communities, a reminder of lives interrupted and places erased by progress. Still, others are convinced there's more to it than symbolism. Too many independent witnesses have described the same figures, the same cries, the same eerie sensations for it all to be coincidence. Whether these spirits are restless souls or echoes of the past imprinted on the lake's waters, the effect is the same. Lake Texoma is as famous for its ghostly lore as it is for its striped bass fishing. Today, visitors come for all kinds of reasons. Many are drawn by the promise of adventure on the water. Others arrive with fishing rods in hand, hoping for a record-breaking catch. But there are also those who come in search of something else entirely. A glimpse of the spectral fisherman on a misty morning, or the haunting sound of a mother's voice drifting over the water at midnight. For them, Lake Texoma is more than just a reservoir. It's a place where history refuses to stay buried, where stories rise to the surface like the waves on a windy day, and where the line between the living and the dead seems to blur just enough to make you wonder what might be waiting in the fog. Lake Monroe, nestled in central Florida along the St. Johns River, appears at first glance to be a serene and beautiful body of water. Surrounded by lush greenery and often kissed by golden sunlight, the lake is a popular spot for fishing, boating, and quiet reflection. Yet beneath this peaceful facade lies a rich tapestry of mystery and haunting tales, whispers passed down through generations about strange happenings and restless spirits that refuse to rest. Local legend holds that Lake Monroe sits atop what was once a Native American burial ground, a sacred place disturbed during the development and expansion of the surrounding land. The disruption of these ancient grounds is said to have unleashed spiritual unrest, creating an eerie atmosphere that many have experienced firsthand. Visitors and residents alike recount strange sightings that defy logical explanation. On foggy mornings and mist-laden evenings, Some have reported seeing ghostly canoes silently paddling across the water. These ethereal vessels glide with no visible occupants, their movements smooth and deliberate, as if guided by invisible hands. The ghostly paddlers remain hidden in the dense mist, vanishing when approached or when sunlight breaks through, leaving behind only a sense of unease and a chilling silence. Adding to the lake's mystique are strange lights that sometimes float just above the water's surface. These orbs flicker and drift lazily across the dark water, glowing with an otherworldly hue that shifts from pale blue to a faint green. The lights seem to defy natural explanation, appearing and disappearing without warning. Some locals believe these lights are manifestations of unsettled spirits tied to the land's ancient past, wandering the lake's surface in search of peace. Others whisper that these glowing orbs serve as warning omens of danger or impending tragedy. Fishermen on Lake Monroe often share stories of hearing noises beyond the usual sounds of water and wildlife. Many describe faint, anguished cries or soft whispers carried just beyond earshot, as if voices from another realm were calling out in sorrow or warning. These sounds are rarely clear enough to understand, yet they linger in the minds of those who hear them, evoking a sense of dread and sadness. Some say the voices belong to those lost to the lake, over the years souls who met tragic ends and remained bound to the water's edge. Among the lake's most unsettling legends is the story of a phantom woman seen near the old dock late at night. Witnesses describe her as wearing a torn, flowing dress, soaked and clinging to her form, as if she has just emerged from the water. Her face is often hidden by long, wet hair, but her presence is undeniably an aura of sorrow and longing that chills the air around her. The woman vanishes whenever someone tries to approach, disappearing into the shadows or the fog, leaving no trace except the coldness she leaves behind. Local folklore suggests she is the spirit of a young bride who drowned tragically on her wedding day. According to the tale, she had planned to meet her groom by the lake, but fate intervened cruelly, and she was lost to the depths. Her restless spirit is said to wander the lake's shoreline, eternally searching for her lost love. The story is passed down with a mixture of sympathy and fear, a reminder of the fragility of life and the power of love even beyond death. Lake Monroe's eerie reputation is not just a product of folklore. It is woven into the experiences of those who live near and visit the lake. Many share a sense of something unseen, watching from the shadows, a presence that lingers in the stillness between moments. People have reported sudden drops in temperature around the lake, unexplained cold spots that seem to come out of nowhere, especially near the old dock and areas believed to be near the burial grounds. The natural environment itself seems to heighten these sensations. Early morning fog and thick evening mist can quickly transform the familiar into the unknown, turning trees into looming specters and water reflections into shifting shadows. The lake's surface can go from glassy calm to choppy waves in moments, sometimes stirred by a breeze that seems to come from nowhere. This ever-changing landscape creates the perfect stage for the supernatural stories that continue to captivate and terrify. Those who have spent long hours fishing or boating on Lake Monroe often speak of the lake as a living entity, one that holds memories, secrets, and spirits beneath its surface. The combination of natural beauty and eerie phenomena creates an atmosphere that is both inviting and unsettling. Many are drawn to the lake not just for its recreation, but for the stories and the mysteries it holds. Paranormal enthusiasts have visited Lake Monroe over the years, drawn by reports of ghostly sightings and strange occurrences. Attempts to capture evidence, whether through photographs, audio recordings, or personal experiences, have yielded intriguing but inconclusive results. Flickering orbs in the dark, unexplained voices on recordings, and shadowy figures glimpsed out of the corner of an eye continue to fuel the lake's haunted reputation. Yet, despite the stories and the spirits that may linger, Lake Monroe remains a cherished part of Florida's landscape. It is a place where nature and history intertwine, where the past is never far beneath the surface. Whether the tales are true or simply echoes of imagination, they remind us that some places carry an energy beyond the physical. where memories of those who came before ripple through time like waves on the water. For anyone who finds themselves standing on Lake Monroe's shore, as the sun dips below the horizon, watching mist swirl above the still water, it's easy to feel the weight of these stories pressing quietly against the evening air. The ghostly canoes, the floating lights, the anguished cries, and the phantom bridal are part of a haunting legacy that invites curiosity, respect, and a touch of fear. Lake Hopatcong, the largest lake in New Jersey, is renowned for its scenic beauty, drawing visitors year-round for boating, fishing, and relaxation. But beneath its shimmering surface and alongside its tranquil shoreline lies a darker side, steeped in history and haunted by eerie tales. Locals speak in hushed tones about strange occurrences and restless spirits that still linger, reminders of the lake's turbulent past and the deep connection between the land, water, and those who came before. Long before European settlers arrived, the land around Lake Hopatcong was inhabited by Native American tribes, primarily the Lenape people. For centuries, they lived in harmony with the environment, respecting the waters and forests as sacred. However, with the arrival of settlers, the landscape was forever changed. The building of dams and development disrupted the natural flow of the lake, flooding tribal lands and desecrating burial sites. It is said that the Native American spirits, angered by these violations, never left but instead became guardians of the lake. Their unrest, manifesting in paranormal activity and strange phenomena reported by locals and visitors alike. One of the most commonly reported supernatural occurrences at Lake Hopatcong is the appearance of ghostly lights. On quiet, moonless nights, these ethereal lights can be seen dancing and flickering just above the water's surface. Witnesses describe the lights as small, glowing orbs that move unpredictably, sometimes hovering, other times darting swiftly across the lake. Some say the lights resemble will-o'-the-wisps, mysterious phenomena often associated with spirits or the souls of the departed. The lights' origin remains a mystery, but their presence is often interpreted as a warning or a sign from the restless spirits who haunt the lake. Boaters, especially those who venture out after dark, have reported a far more chilling experience seeing a figure standing on the lake's surface itself. This apparition is described as a tall, shadowy man who stares silently at those on the water before vanishing without a trace. The figure's appearance is sudden, emerging from the mist or darkness, leaving witnesses frozen in fear or awe. Some believe this figure to be a guardian spirit, silently watching over the lake and those who dare to challenge its power. Among the most chilling stories told about Lake Hopatcong is that of a drowned man who surfaces during foggy nights. According to local legend, this ghostly figure appears as an ominous warning to sailors and boaters, signaling that a dangerous storm is approaching. The drowned man is said to rise from the depths, his pale face and wet clothing visible through the thick fog, as he silently signals for boats to turn back. Those who heed his warning are spared the fury of the storm, but those who ignore it are doomed to meet a watery fate, lost forever to the lake's depths. This drowned man's story has been passed down for generations, often recounted around campfires or during late-night gatherings near the lake. Some versions claim he was a fisherman who perished in a sudden storm long ago, his spirit unable to find peace and now bound to the lake as its spectral protector. Others suggest he is a tragic soul caught between worlds, doomed to warn others while remaining trapped beneath the waters. The lake's history is inseparable from these haunting tales. Lake Hopatcong has seen its share of tragedies, from drownings to accidents have only deepened its reputation as a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. The intertwining of Native American history, colonial settlement, and natural disaster has created a fertile ground for stories of hauntings and unexplained phenomena. Visitors who walk along the lake's shoreline at night often report feeling sudden chills or an inexplicable sensation of being watched. These feelings are especially strong near old docks, abandoned boathouses, and the areas once inhabited by the Lenape tribes. Some claim to hear whispers carried on the wind, faint voices speaking in a language no longer understood but heavy with emotion and warning. Fishermen and nighttime boaters are perhaps the most frequent witnesses to Lake Hopatcong's supernatural side. Many recount moments when their boats have been rocked by unseen hands, or when fishing lines have been tugged by no visible creature. Others describe hearing distant cries or calls echoing across the water, unsettling sounds that fade away before they can be pinpointed. The natural environment of Lake Hopatcong contributes to its eerie atmosphere. Fog often rolls in thick and fast, swallowing the lake and its surroundings in a ghostly veil. This fog distorts sounds and shapes, transforming familiar landmarks into spectral forms. It creates a haunting stage where stories come alive and where the boundary between the natural and supernatural blurs. In more recent years, paranormal enthusiasts have been drawn to Lake Hopatcong, hoping to capture evidence of its haunted reputation. Investigations using cameras, audio recorders, and electromagnetic sensors have revealed unexplained anomalous strange lights, unexplained noises, and fleeting shadows. While skeptics dismiss these findings as tricks of nature or technology, believers see them as proof that the spirits of Lake Hopatcong are very much present. Despite the eerie tales, Lake Hopatcong remains a beloved destination for recreation and community gathering. Its waters provide fishing, boating, and swimming opportunities for thousands every year. Yet, even in the brightest daylight, the lake's history and haunted legends linger just beneath the surface. A reminder that some places carry memories that refuse to fade. For those who find themselves by the shore as dusk falls, watching the mist rise and listening to the soft ripple of water, it's easy to feel the pull of Lake Hopatcong's mysterious past. The ghostly lights, the silent figure on the water, and the drowned man's warning serve as chilling reminders that the lake is alive with stories of anger, loss, protection, and the thin line between this world and the next. Lake Hopatcong invites those who dare to explore its depths, not just physically, but spiritually. It is a place where history, nature, and the supernatural converge, and where the restless spirits of the past continue to haunt the waters and the shores. Those who visit may leave with more than just memories. They might carry with them a glimpse into a world unseen. A whisper from the shadows that lingers long after the mist has cleared. Lake Isabella, nestled in the scenic Sierra Nevada foothills of California, is a place of striking natural beauty, surrounded by rugged mountains and vast stretches of wilderness. The lake attracts visitors year-round for boating, fishing, hiking, and relaxation. Yet beneath its tranquil surface and picturesque surroundings lies a darker history, one that has given rise to chilling legends and eerie tales that continue to capture the imagination of locals and travelers alike. The origins of Lake Isabella's haunted reputation are deeply tied to its violent past. A history marked by conflicts between early settlers and Native American tribes. Before the creation of the modern reservoir, the area was home to several Native American communities, whose connection to the land was both spiritual and profound. As settlers moved in during the 19th century, disputes over land and resources escalated into violent confrontations, leaving scars on the landscape and its people. Many believe that the unrest and bloodshed from these turbulent times left a lingering curse on the lake, an energy that still permeates the area today. Visitors to Lake Isabella often recount unsettling experiences that defy logical explanation. Disembodied voices are commonly reported, drifting eerily through the trees or across the water, as if the air itself carries whispers from the past. Hikers along the deserted trails sometimes hear footsteps following closely behind, only to turn and find no one there. Sudden, unexplained chills descend upon these isolated paths. A coldness that seems to seep into the bones, sending shivers down the spine even on warm days. At night, the lake takes on an even more mysterious quality. Campers and boaters have claimed to see ghostly faces reflected in the water's surface faces that disappear when stared at directly, leaving only ripples and darkness. Some have reported glimpses of flickering lantern lights dancing along the shoreline where no living person is present. These ethereal lights appear and vanish without pattern, lending a haunted atmosphere to the stillness of the night. Among the most enduring and heartbreaking tales of Lake Isabella is that of a young girl who drowned in the lake many years ago. According to local legend, her spirit now appears at dusk near the boat ramps, endlessly searching for her lost family. Witnesses say the girl's ghost is clad in a simple, white dress, her wet hair hanging in strands as she wanders the shoreline with a mournful expression. She moves slowly, her eyes scanning the darkness as if hoping to be reunited with those she lost. This spectral child is said to call out softly, her voice a faint, haunting echo that seems to carry across the water. Those who have encountered her describe a profound sadness that lingers in the air, an overwhelming sense of loss and longing. The story serves as a poignant reminder of the lake's capacity not only to inspire beauty and recreation, but also to hold the memories of tragedy and sorrow. The connection between Lake Isabella's natural environment and its supernatural tales is undeniable. The rugged terrain, dense forests, and expansive water create a setting where isolation and silence allow imaginations to run wild. Fog often rolls in over the lake in the early morning or late evening, cloaking the landscape in a ghostly veil that blurs the line between reality and the unknown. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying faint sounds that might be mistaken for voices, footsteps, or distant cries. These atmospheric conditions provide the perfect backdrop for the legends that have grown over time. As more visitors come seeking adventure or solace, many find themselves caught up in experiences that challenge their understanding of the natural world. Reports of strange noises, fleeting shadows, and unexplained sensations continue to emerge, fueling Lake Isabella's reputation as one of California's most haunted lakes. Paranormal investigators have also taken an interest in the lake's eerie phenomena. Expeditions equipped with cameras, audio recorders, and electromagnetic field meters have captured unusual readings and unexplained sounds. Flickering orbs of light, sudden drops in temperature, and ghostly voices recorded on tape add to the growing body of evidence that something beyond the ordinary may dwell at Lake Isabella. While skeptics attribute many of these occurrences to natural causes or optical illusions, believers see them as proof that the spirits of the past remain tethered to the land. Despite the haunting tales, Lake Isabella remains a beloved destination for outdoor enthusiasts and nature lovers. Its serene beauty, fishing opportunities, and recreational facilities continue to draw thousands each year. Yet for those who know its stories, the lake is more than just a picturesque getaway. It's a place where history and the supernatural intertwine, where the past never truly fades away. For anyone who stands at the water's edge at dusk, watching the fading light and the mist beginning to rise, it's easy to feel the weight of the lake's stories pressing quietly against the evening air. The ghostly voices, the flickering lanterns, and the sorrowful spirit of the lost girl serve as reminders that beneath the calm surface of Lake Isabella lies a world filled with memory, mystery, and lingering spirits. Whether these tales are born of grief, imagination, or something truly unexplainable, Lake Isabella remains a place where nature's beauty and the supernatural coexist. It invites those who visit to listen closely, to watch carefully, and to respect the unseen forces that continue to watch over its waters and shores. Lake Tahoe, straddling the border of California and Nevada, is often celebrated as one of America's most breathtaking natural wonders. Its crystal-clear waters, surrounded by towering pines and snow-capped peaks, attract tourists, nature lovers, and adventurers year-round. But behind its postcard-perfect beauty lies a much darker and more mysterious side, one filled with legends, eerie encounters, and chilling accounts that have been passed down for generations. The Washoe people, Native Americans who lived in the Tahoe Basin for centuries before European settlers arrived, speak of a powerful and dangerous entity they call the water spirit. According to their stories, the lake is alive with an ancient being that watches over it. This spirit is said to protect the purity of the waters, rewarding those who treat the lake with respect, but punishing those who pollute or exploit it. The punishments, they say, can be sudden and merciless, from storms that appear without warning to strange currents that drag swimmers beneath the surface. Over the decades, Modern visitors have reported experiences that sound eerily similar to these old legends. On calm, sunny days, sudden fog banks have been known to roll across the lake, blinding boaters and swallowing small vessels into a gray void. In several documented incidents, boats have disappeared without a trace, their wreckage never recovered. Survivors tell of hearing muffled cries and splashing in the mist, only to find nothing when the fog clears. Swimmers and divers have also described unsettling encounters. Some claim they have felt something tugging at their ankles or pulling them downward, despite there being no visible cause. A few divers have spoken of seeing strange, shadowy figures moving in the depths, human-shaped but darker than the surrounding water. One local diver recounted a chilling moment when a pale face appeared inches from his mask. Fishermen on the lake sometimes report seeing ghostly shapes drifting just below the waterline. In the moonlight, these shadows appear almost human, floating silently before dissolving into the darkness. On windless nights, when the surface is glassy and still, a faint scream has been heard echoing across the water. No source is ever found, and the sound fades as quickly as it comes. The strange activity isn't limited to the lake itself. In the surrounding mountains, particularly during the harsh winter months, another set of ghost stories circulates. Early settlers, drawn to the region's beauty, often underestimated the severity of Tahoe's winters. Some became trapped in their cabins or were caught in blizzards while traveling, never to be seen alive again. Locals say that their spirits still linger, especially in the old ski lodges and mountain inns that dot the shoreline. Guests have reported waking in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow outside their windows, even during times when the surrounding area was undisturbed. Others have heard the sound of a door opening and closing in the hallway, only to find no one there. Some describe the faint smell of wood smoke and wet wool, as though an unseen traveler had just stepped in from the storm. One of the more persistent tales comes from a lodge on the Nevada side of the lake. Staff members tell of a spectral woman in a tattered red coat who appears during heavy snowstorms. She is seen standing by the fireplace in the lobby, her back to the room, as if warming herself. When approached, she vanishes into thin air, leaving behind only the faint scent of pine. According to local lore, she was a mail carrier in the late 1800s. Who became lost during a blizzard and froze to death before reaching safety. In another case, a group of skiers staying near the lake awoke to see a man in old-fashioned winter gear silently standing at the foot of one of their beds. His face was pale and expressionless, and when one of them reached for the light, he simply faded away. The next morning, their room was found to be locked from the inside, with no signs of forced entry. Lake Tahoe's combination of natural danger and unexplained phenomena has fueled countless theories. Some believe the lake's great depth, over 1,600 feet in some areas, hides not only lost boats but bodies preserved by the cold, oxygen-poor water. Rumors persist of perfectly intact remains resting on the bottom, occasionally glimpsed by deep-water divers before vanishing into the darkness. Others suspect that magnetic anomalies in the area contribute to the strange disappearances and disorienting fog. Whether or not these stories are supernatural, they have become an inseparable part of Lake Tahoe's identity. For every sunny postcard or travel ad showing happy boaters and skiers, there's a whispered reminder from locals to treat the lake with respect. Even the most skeptical visitors admit that Tahoe has a certain atmosphere, a feeling that someone or something is always watching. On quiet nights, when the mountains are wrapped in snow and the lake is shrouded in fog, it's easy to imagine the water spirits still patrolling the depths, ancient and restless. And for those who dare to venture too far, the warnings of the past may become the nightmares of the present. In Lake Tahoe, beauty and mystery walk hand in hand, and the line between paradise and peril is thinner than the mist that drifts across its still, dark waters. Lake Texoma, resting on the Texas-Oklahoma border, is one of the largest reservoirs in the United States, attracting millions of visitors each year. Created in the 1940s with the construction of Denison Dam, it stretches over 89,000 acres and has long been a hotspot for fishing, boating, camping, and water sports. But beneath its sparkling surface lies a far darker history, and a collection of ghost stories that have unsettled locals and visitors for decades. Before the dam was built, the land where Lake Texoma now sits was home to sprawling farmland, small rural communities, and family cemeteries. When the area was flooded to create the reservoir, many homes, barns, roads, and even graveyards were swallowed by the rising water. In some cases, bodies from the cemeteries were exhumed and relocated. But local whispers claim not every resting place was properly disturbed. Entire neighborhoods now rest at the bottom of the lake, eerily preserved in the murky depths. For many, this submerged past is the root of Lake Texoma's haunted reputation. Fishermen are often the first to share stories. On quiet, early mornings, some have reported seeing a lone figure standing on the shoreline, dressed in old-fashioned fishing clothes. This phantom fisherman is always described the same way. An older man, stooped slightly, with a weathered hat pulled low over his brow. Witnesses say they watch him cast a line into the water in complete silence. But when they try to approach or call out to him, he simply vanishes into thin air, leaving nothing but ripples in the water where he stood. One angler recalled an especially chilling encounter. It was just after dawn on a foggy autumn morning. The man noticed a fisherman standing near the mouth of a cove. Thinking it was another early riser, he rowed closer to strike up a conversation. As the mist thinned, he realized the figure had no clear facial features, just a blur where the eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. The next moment, the figure dissolved into the fog itself, leaving the man trembling in his boat. But perhaps the most famous and unsettling legend of Lake Texoma is the story of the drowned woman. The tale has been told in countless variations, but most agree on the core details. Sometime in the mid-20th century, a young mother and her small child were out on the water when their boat capsized during a sudden storm. Rescue crews managed to save the child, but the mother was swept away by the waves. Her body was later recovered near one of the lake's inlets, but local lore insists her spirit never truly left. On calm, windless nights, especially when the moonlight reflects off the lake like glass, people claim to hear her cries. The sound is described as a desperate wail, rising and falling as though carried on the water. Some say it's the most sorrowful voice they've ever heard. Not just screaming, but calling out for someone. Those who believe in the legend are convinced she's still searching for her lost child, unaware that the child survived long ago. Campers staying near the shoreline have reported waking in the night to what they thought was a woman calling for help. A group of friends once claimed they saw a pale figure in a white dress walking along the shallows, the hem of her gown floating on the water's surface. When they shone their flashlights toward her, the beam passed right through her before she faded into nothing. There are other strange happenings, too. Boaters sometimes speak of sudden, unexplained cold spots in the middle of the lake, where the air chills sharply despite the summer heat. Divers exploring the lake's depths have reported seeing intact houses, barns, and even vehicles resting on the lake bed, eerie reminders of the communities that once stood there. A few divers have refused to return to certain locations, claiming they felt watched or heard faint voices through the water. Even locals who don't believe in ghosts admit the lake has an uncanny atmosphere at times. Heavy fog can roll in unexpectedly, muffling sound and distorting visibility. On these mornings, the lake becomes a quiet, otherworldly expanse where even experienced boaters can lose their bearings. The shadows of half-submerged trees and the shapes of abandoned docks rising from the water only add to the unease. Some historians suggest the ghost stories are partly a way for residents to preserve the memory of the land that once existed here. Entire family histories were displaced by the creation of Lake Texoma, and the submerged towns became part of local folklore. The tales of the phantom fisherman and the drowned woman may be symbols of those lost communities, a reminder of lives interrupted and places erased by progress. Still, others are convinced there's more to it than symbolism. Too many independent witnesses have described the same figures, the same cries, the same eerie sensations for it all to be coincidence. Whether these spirits are restless souls or echoes of the past imprinted on the lake's waters, the effect is the same. Lake Texoma is as famous for its ghostly lore as it is for its striped bass fishing. Today, visitors come for all kinds of reasons. Many are drawn by the promise of adventure on the water. Others arrive with fishing rods in hand, hoping for a record-breaking catch. But there are also those who come in search of something else entirely. A glimpse of the spectral fisherman on a misty morning, or the haunting sound of a mother's voice drifting over the water at midnight. For them, Lake Texoma is more than just a reservoir. It's a place where history refuses to stay buried, where stories rise to the surface like the waves on a windy day, and where the line between the living and the dead seems to blur just enough to make you wonder what might be waiting in the fog. Lake Minnetonka, located just outside Minneapolis, Minnesota, is well known for its stunning natural beauty and bustling summertime activity. Each summer, residents and visitors flock to the lake for boating, fishing, swimming, and lakeside gatherings. But beneath the lively surface lies a history marked by tragedy and mystery, giving rise to a rich tapestry of ghost stories that have been passed down through generations. Lake Minnetonka stretches over 14,500 acres and boasts more than 120 miles of shoreline. Its expansive waters and charming bays make it a favorite spot for recreation. However, the lake's deep waters and sudden drop-offs have contributed to a number of drownings over the years. These tragedies have led many locals to believe that the lake is haunted, and a number of eerie tales have emerged that keep visitors both fascinated and wary. One of the most persistent legends is that of the spectral canoeist. According to those who have encountered this ghostly figure, on moonlit nights, when the water is calm and the air still, a solitary canoe glides silently across the lake. The figure in the canoe is said to be a man, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, paddling with a slow, steady rhythm. Those who have witnessed this apparition describe feeling a chill in the air and hearing the faint splash of the paddle against the water. But no one can explain who this ghost might be or why he continues to roam the lake. Another mysterious phenomenon linked to Lake Minnetonka involves music. Many locals claim to have heard haunting piano melodies drifting across the water on quiet evenings. The source of the music is often traced back to an abandoned lakeside mansion that sits near one of the lake's quieter coves. This grand old house, once a lively social hub in the early 20th century, has long since fallen into disrepair. Visitors have reported hearing the faint strains of piano music coming from within, even though no one has lived there for decades. Some believe that the ghost of a former resident, a talented pianist who died tragically young, continues to play, trapped in the echoes of the past. Perhaps the most unsettling story connected to Lake Minnetonka is that of the mysterious woman in a long dress. This apparition is most often reported by drivers crossing the causeway that spans part of the lake. Witnesses describe seeing a woman standing by the side of the road, dressed in a flowing, old-fashioned gown. She appears suddenly, sometimes stepping into the path of oncoming cars. But just as quickly as she appears, she vanishes, leaving drivers stunned and confused. Some who have stopped to offer help find no sign of the woman at all. This ghostly figure is thought to be the spirit of a woman who drowned in the lake many years ago, eternally searching for a way to safety. Lake Minnetonka's haunted reputation is not just limited to these well-known tales. Many other stories circulate among locals, including sightings of ghostly lights flickering over the water, strange noises echoing from the forests around the lake, and sudden drops in temperature near certain spots on the shoreline. Campers and fishermen sometimes report an eerie feeling of being watched, as if unseen eyes are following them in the darkness. Despite the spooky stories, Lake Minnetonka remains a beloved destination for families and outdoor enthusiasts. The locals often treat the ghost tales with a mixture of amusement and respect, passing them along as part of the lake's rich folklore. For many, the haunted stories add a layer of mystery and allure to an already enchanting place. The lake's history of tragedy is well documented, and this may be why the ghost stories persist. Over the years, countless accidents, drownings, and disappearances have left a lasting mark on the community's collective memory. Each ghost tale serves as a reminder of the lake's power and unpredictability, a place where beauty and danger coexist. Beyond the stories, the lake has inspired artists, writers, and filmmakers who seek to capture its haunting charm. Photographers often try to capture the elusive glow of the moonlight on the water, while writers weave tales of lost love and restless spirits. This creative energy keeps the legends alive, blending fact and fiction into a unique cultural heritage. Visitors who come to Lake Minnetonka today can enjoy all the recreational activities the lake offers. But some also seek out the haunted spots to experience a brush with the supernatural. Guided ghost tours, especially during the fall and winter months, invite participants to explore the lake's mysterious past and hear firsthand the stories that have been whispered around campfires for generations. Whether one believes in ghosts or not, the stories of Lake Minnetonka enrich the experience of this beautiful Minnesota landmark. The spectral canoeist, the haunting piano music, and the woman in the long dress are more than just spooky tales. They are part of the lake's soul, a bridge between the past and the present, reminding us that every place holds secrets waiting to be discovered. Lake Kissimmee, located in central Florida and surrounded by swamps, cypress trees, and untouched stretches of wilderness, is both a natural wonder and a place steeped in mystery. At over 35,000 acres, it is one of the state's largest lakes, known for its rich wildlife, serene beauty, and abundant fishing. Bald eagles soar overhead, alligators glide through its dark waters, and herons stalk the shallows. But behind its postcard-worthy scenery lies a chilling reputation, one that has been passed down through generations of Native Americans, early settlers, and modern visitors alike. Long before European settlers arrived, Native American tribes considered Lake Kissimmee to be sacred ground. They believed its waters held great spiritual power, and elders warned that it should always be treated with respect. Stories told around tribal fires spoke of spirits living beneath the surface, guardians who could bring blessings to those who honored the lake, or misfortune to those who disrespected it. According to legend, the fog that sometimes blankets the water is a sign that the spirits are watching. Those caught in it without the proper reverence could find themselves lost or led astray. Even today, visitors report strange and sudden changes in weather on Lake Kissimmee. On clear mornings, anglers set out across calm waters only to find themselves enveloped minutes later in a dense, rolling fog. The air turns unnaturally cold, and an eerie silence settles over everything. The calls of birds vanish, the sound of lapping water seems to fade, and even the hum of an outboard motor feels muted. In these moments, many say they sense they are not alone. Some describe feeling watched, while others claim to see faint shapes moving just beyond the edges of visibility. Fishermen have some of the most unsettling stories. Over the years, numerous anglers have reported seeing ghostly figures in the water. Sometimes they appear as glowing orbs, hovering just below the surface before disappearing with a ripple. Other times, the shapes take on the form of distorted human faces, pale and shifting, as though seen through warped glass. These faces seem to rise from the depths, only to vanish if the observer blinks or looks away for even a moment. For many who have witnessed them, the encounters leave a deep sense of unease that lingers long after they leave the lake. Local lore attributes some of these hauntings to the spirits of early settlers, who came to the area in search of new opportunities but were met with harsh realities. Life around Lake Kissimmee in the 1800s was unforgiving. Bitterly cold winters sometimes struck without warning, and supplies could run dangerously low. Some settlers perished from illness or starvation, their small cabins abandoned and eventually reclaimed by the swamp. According to legend, their spirits still wander the lake's edge, calling out in the night for help that never came. Campers and boaters alike have reported hearing faint cries or the sound of voices carried across the water, especially on cold, still evenings. There are also tales of ghostly campfires that appear along the shore, flickering in the darkness before vanishing when approached. Some believe these are the fires of lost settlers, forever trying to warm themselves against the chill. Others think they are a warning, a sign to turn back before venturing too deep into the remote and wild edges of the lake. Wildlife experts and park rangers often caution that many strange happenings can be explained by natural phenomena. Swamp gases can create glowing lights, temperature changes can cause sudden fog, and sound can travel in unusual ways across open water. But even the most experienced outdoorsmen sometimes admit that there are moments on Lake Kissimmee that defy explanation. They've seen shadows moving in places where nothing should be, or felt an unshakable sense of being followed when they're miles from the nearest person. Nighttime brings its own layer of mystery. Under a full moon, the lake can seem almost otherworldly. The silver light casts strange reflections on the water, and the cypress trees stand like silent sentinels along the shore. Some locals claim that on certain nights, if the wind dies completely and the surface lies perfectly still, you can see more than just the moon reflected there. Figures, sometimes clear, sometimes hazy, are said to move across the glassy surface, walking as if on land. Whether they are visions, tricks of light, or true spirits, they vanish the moment the wind stirs. For those brave enough to spend the night camping near the lake, the hours between midnight and dawn are said to be the most active. Many describe waking suddenly, unsure of what disturbed them, only to find the air colder than it should be and the fog creeping in thick around their tents. Strange splashes echo from the water, but nothing is visible. Footsteps crunch in the grass, yet no tracks remain in the morning. Some campers leave before sunrise, unwilling to wait and see what else might emerge from the mist. Despite its haunted reputation, Lake Kissimmee remains a popular destination for anglers, birdwatchers, and nature lovers. For many, the beauty of the lake outweighs the unease its legends inspire. Still, even those who come only for the fishing often leave with a story of their own. A sound they couldn't place, a shadow that seemed to move against the current, or an unexplained chill on a hot Florida afternoon. The lake's dual nature, breathtakingly beautiful yet quietly unsettling, has helped preserve its mystique. It is a place where history and nature intertwine, where the past feels closer than in most other places. Whether one believes in the spirits said to inhabit it or not, there is no denying the powerful atmosphere that seems to settle over Lake Kissimmee when the fog rolls in, and the world falls silent. If you stand on its shore at dusk, with the sun sinking low and the mist beginning to rise, you might understand why the tribes once called it sacred and why so many still approach it with caution. In that stillness, with only the sound of your own breath and the faint lapping of the water, you may feel the weight of countless lives and stories stretching back through time, and perhaps catch a glimpse, just for a moment, of something watching from the other side of the mist. Lake Toppin, located just north of Tampa, in Pinellas County, is often called the Jewel of Pinellas for its shimmering surface, abundant wildlife, and thriving fishing scene. Spanning nearly 2,500 acres, it draws anglers, boaters, and birdwatchers year-round. On sunny days, its calm waters reflect the sky like a mirror, and its surrounding cypress-lined shores hum with life. But when the sun sets and the breeze fades, a different side of Lake Toppin emerges, one steeped in centuries-old legends, tragic histories, and ghostly encounters that locals speak of in hushed tones. Long before the arrival of European settlers, the lake and its surrounding wetlands were home to Native American tribes. The people who lived here regarded the waters as sacred, believing they were a dwelling place for spirits. According to tribal oral tradition, the lake provided both life and protection, but it also demanded respect. That balance was shattered during the period of colonization. Historical accounts tell of a thriving native village along the lake's edge that was destroyed in a violent conflict, its people driven out or killed. Some say a curse was placed upon the waters that day, a warning that those who came after would never find peace here. Today, locals claim the echoes of that time still linger. On certain nights, especially when the moon is high and the air is still, shadowy figures are said to appear along the shoreline. These apparitions, often described as wearing traditional clothing, move slowly and silently, their shapes flickering in and out of view as if caught between worlds. Witnesses speak of hearing faint drum beats and chanting carried on the wind, the rhythms seeming to rise from nowhere before fading just as quickly. The sounds are most often reported near the lake's eastern shore, where some believe the original village once stood. Fishermen, who spend long hours on the water, have some of the most unsettling stories. Many tell of early morning or late night trips when the lake is quiet, only to see something inexplicable. A common account describes a glowing figure emerging from the water's surface. At first it appears human, bathed in pale light. But before anyone can call out or approach, it slips soundlessly beneath the waves. Some believe this is the spirit of a villager lost during the destruction of the native settlement, forever tied to the place of their death. Others think it's the restless soul of someone who drowned more recently, their light a warning to others to respect the water. Drowning accidents on Lake Tarpon are, unfortunately, not just a thing of the distant past. Over the decades, the lake has claimed the lives of swimmers, boaters, and divers. Sudden storms, unexpected currents, and hidden drop-offs have contributed to tragedies. Many who've lost loved ones here believe their spirits remain, watching over the lake's surface or lingering near the spots where their lives ended. The belief that the lake holds onto the souls of the departed has fueled one of its most chilling legends, the story of the submerged cemetery. According to this tale, an old burial ground once sat on low-lying land near the lake. Over time, flooding and water level changes caused it to be swallowed by the expanding waters. Locals say that the graves were never properly relocated, leaving the remains beneath the lake. Swimmers who venture into certain areas claim to feel strange, sudden tugs on their legs, as if something unseen is reaching up from below. The sensation is often described as cold and clammy, like the touch of a wet hand. Some insist they've seen pale, skeletal fingers break the surface before vanishing in an instant. Whether these are simply tricks of the water and weeds or something more sinister, the story persists, passed down through generations. Night on Lake Tarpon can be beautiful, but it can also be deeply unsettling. The surrounding landscape becomes a dark silhouette, and the stillness of the water amplifies every sound. The slap of a fishtail can feel like a sudden intrusion, and the rustle of reeds might make you glance over your shoulder. Those who have been on the lake after midnight speak of hearing splashes with no visible cause, or voices calling faintly from somewhere across the water. Voices that vanish when you try to locate them. Some describe feeling an inexplicable chill, even on warm Florida nights, and a heaviness in the air that makes the hair on their arms stand up. Skeptics often argue that the ghost stories surrounding Lake Tarpon are nothing more than folklore, shaped by the human tendency to find patterns and meaning in the unknown. They suggest the glowing figure might be caused by bioluminescent algae or reflections from boat lights, and that the sensations of being touched in the water could be fish or drifting vegetation. The drumbeats and chanting, they say, could be distant music or the natural sounds of the night, distorted by wind and water. But for those who've experienced these moments firsthand, such explanations fall short. Too many stories, they say, share the same eerie details, the same glowing figure, the same ghostly sounds, the same sense of being watched. Even some longtime residents, who have spent decades on the lake, admit there are places they want to go after dark, convinced that something beyond the natural world lingers there. In recent years, Lake Tarpon's haunted reputation has quietly become part of its identity. While most visitors come for fishing tournaments, boating, and recreation, a small but growing number arrive seeking the supernatural. Paranormal investigators have conducted nighttime stakeouts along the shore, recording strange sounds and capturing unexplained mists in photographs. Kayakers have paddled out on moonlit nights, hoping for a glimpse of the glowing figure. Most return with only stories of an eerie stillness, but a few claim they've found more than they bargained for. Whether the legends are born of truth, imagination, or a mix of both, they have endured because they speak to something primal, the sense that water holds secrets, that it can be both a giver of life and a keeper of the dead. Lake Tarpon's history, marked by beauty and tragedy, has made it fertile ground for such beliefs. And perhaps that's why, on a calm night, When the moonlight glitters across the surface, some who look out over the water can shake the feeling that they being watched, not by fish or birds, but by eyes from another time, another world, still tied to the shores of the lake they once called home. Lake Oconee, stretching across the heart of Georgia, is known today as a serene getaway, a place where vacationers come to fish, boat, and relax along its scenic shores. Created in the late 1970s by the damming of the Oconee River, the lake is surrounded by golf courses, resorts, and small towns that thrive on tourism. But behind the peaceful surface lies a history that's far older and far darker than most visitors realize. Beneath the sparkling water rests a land once home to Native American tribes, early settlers, and forgotten graveyards. And with that history come stories of spirits that have never left. Long before the creation of the lake, the Oconee River Valley was rich with Native American heritage. Tribes hunted, fished, and farmed along its banks, believing the land to be a sacred gift from the spirits. Ceremonial grounds, burial mounds, and villages dotted the area, many of which were eventually disrupted or destroyed by the arrival of European settlers. As decades passed, settlers built farms and communities here, and with those came churches and graveyards. When the plans for Lake Oconee took shape, entire stretches of land, including these sacred and historical sites, were marked to be flooded. The process of creating the lake required relocating graves, a task that many locals claim was done hastily. Families were assured that their ancestors' remains were moved, but whispers began to circulate that not all were found. Some bodies, hidden by time or forgotten records, remained where they had been laid to rest. Now beneath the dark waters of Lake Oconee, disbelief, combined with the area's long spiritual history, has fueled the ghost stories that still linger today. One of the most common reports from locals and visitors alike involves strange lights over the water at night. These lights, sometimes pale white and other times glowing red or orange, flicker and drift across the surface as if carried by an unseen hand. They appear without warning, moving in ways that no boat or flashlight could match, before vanishing suddenly. Some believe these are spirit lanterns, carried by the souls of those whose graves were never moved, still searching for the land they once called home. Shadowy figures are also said to roam the shoreline, especially on quiet nights when the moon reflects off the water. Witnesses describe these figures as tall and thin, sometimes dressed in old-fashioned clothing. Other times so indistinct they appear almost like moving shadows, detached from any person. They wander the edges of the lake, disappearing into the tree line or melting into the mist that occasionally drifts off the water. Many who encounter them say they feel an overwhelming sense of sadness or loss, as if these spirits are tied to a past they cannot leave behind. Perhaps the most unsettling reports come from those out on the water after dark. Boaters have claimed to hear faint weeping coming from the direction of the lake's deeper channels. Sometimes the cries are joined by shouts or desperate calls for help, as though someone is drowning. But when they search the area, the water is empty and still. A few fishermen say they have heard splashing nearby, followed by the sound of hands slapping against the surface, but the source is never found. Whether these are echoes of real tragedies or the voices of restless spirits, they leave a lasting impression on those who hear them. Among the many tales connected to Lake Oconee, one legend stands out: the story of the ghostly fisherman. According to local lore, he appears on the water just before storms, warning boaters of incoming danger. Some describe him as a man in weathered clothing, with a wide-brimmed hat pulled low over his face, sitting in a small wooden boat that rocks gently on waves only he seems to feel. He calls out in a gravelly voice, telling those nearby to head for shore. Those who heed his warning often avoid dangerous winds or sudden squalls that could have put them in harm's way. But the legend carries a darker twist. For those who ignore him, misfortune is said to follow. A few accounts tell of boats capsizing, engines failing, or anglers being caught in dangerous lightning storms. After shrugging off his advice, fishermen who have seen the ghostly man say he never stays long. Once his message is delivered, he tips his hat and drifts away into the mist, vanishing as suddenly as he appeared. Some believe he is the spirit of a man who once lived along the river before it was dammed. Perhaps a guide or a seasoned fisherman who knew the water better than anyone. Others think he is tied to one of the tragedies that have occurred on the lake since its creation. A soul who now protects others from meeting the same fate. Despite its haunted reputation, Lake Oconee remains a beloved destination. Families gather on its sandy banks, friends spend weekends fishing from its docks, and tourists flock to its resorts. But those who know its history and have heard its stories often approach the lake with quiet respect. They speak softly at night, avoid certain coves after dark, and keep an eye on the water for signs of the flickering lights or the lone fisherman's silhouette. Even skeptics admit that there is something about Lake Oconee that can be explained by simple logic. The sudden mists that rise from its surface, the eerie calm before a storm, the way sound carries in strange patterns across the water, all contribute to the feeling that the lake is more than just a body of water. It's a place where the past and present blur, where history rests just beneath the surface, and where the line between the living and the dead sometimes feels impossibly thin. For those who have witnessed its mysteries firsthand, the lake is a reminder that beauty and darkness can coexist. The same waters that glisten in the sunlight can, by night, become a stage for ghostly lights, sorrowful voices, and spectral warnings. And whether these stories are born from imagination, coincidence, or something truly supernatural, they ensure that Lake Oconee's secrets will live on, carried by the ripples, whispered in the wind, and hidden in the depths where history sleeps. Lake Coeur d'Alene, in northern Idaho, is known for its pristine waters, pine-covered hills, and postcard-perfect sunsets. Stretching over 25 miles, it attracts visitors from across the country for boating, fishing, and lakeside relaxation. But beneath its calm surface and scenic beauty lies a history steeped in hardship, greed, and loss. A legacy from the gold rush era that still casts a shadow over the region. Locals say the lake is home to more than just fish and wildlife. They claim it holds restless spirits from its mining past, forever tied to the shores where they toiled, suffered, and sometimes died. In the late 19th century, the Coeur d'Alene region became a hub for miners chasing dreams of fortune. Rich deposits of gold, silver, and other precious metals drew thousands of prospectors. Some came with skill and knowledge, others with nothing but hope. The work was grueling, the winters harsh, and the dangers many. Accidents were common. Mine shafts collapsed, equipment failed, and inexperienced workers often drowned while trying to ferry supplies across the lake. By the time the rush began to fade, many lives had been lost, and their stories were buried, along with the mines they had worked. It is said that some of these miners never truly left. Residents and visitors alike have reported seeing ghostly figures along the shoreline late at night, dressed in tattered work clothes, their heads bent as if still searching for, or their spectral pickaxes and shovels make faint metallic sounds. The dull thud of a tool striking rock, the scrape of metal against stone, echoing across the still waters in the dead of night. Sometimes the sounds come from places where no living person could be working, miles from the nearest light or road. The shoreline isn't the only place where the spirits of the past seem to linger. Boaters have reported hearing disembodied voices over the water, sometimes faint and pleading, other times urgent and commanding. These voices often call for help, as if someone has fallen overboard or is trapped in the depths. At other times, the voices shout warnings about treacherous waters ahead, even when the lake appears perfectly calm. Those who have experienced these encounters describe the hair-raising feeling of being watched, not by one set of eyes, but by many, as if an entire crew of unseen miners is keeping vigil. Among the many ghost stories told about Lake Coeur d'Alene, one stands out above the rest: the tale of the drowned prospector. According to legend, this man was well known in the mining camps for his determination. He had spent years searching for a rich vein of gold, often working alone in remote areas. One foggy morning, he set out across the lake in a small rowboat, carrying what he claimed was the proof of his discovery: a pouch filled with gold nuggets. No one knows exactly what happened next, but the story goes that his boat capsized in deep water. The icy lake swallowed him, and his body was never recovered. In the decades since, boaters and fishermen have told of seeing a lone man on foggy mornings, standing in a small, weathered rowboat. He waves his arms urgently, calling out warnings about dangers ahead. Shifting currents, hidden rocks, sudden storms. Those who try to get closer find that the man and his boat dissolve into the mist before they can reach him. Many believe he is the spirit of the prospector, doomed to spend eternity trying to save others from meeting his fate. Some claim that when they have turned back after seeing him, they later encountered sudden, violent weather that could have easily capsized their boats. There are also accounts of a strange stillness that sometimes falls over the lake without warning. The wind stops, the birds go silent, and the water becomes eerily flat. In these moments, witnesses have reported hearing the soft splash of oars or the creak of a wooden boat, even when nothing is visible. Some believe this is the prospector passing silently through the fog, still searching for help, or perhaps still guarding the location of his fabled gold. Skeptics suggest that these stories are nothing more than folklore, exaggerated over time by locals eager to add mystery to their picturesque lake. They argue that strange noises can be explained by the way sound travels over water, and that shifting weather patterns can create illusions and sudden changes that spark the imagination. But those who have lived by Lake Coeur d'Alene for generations insist that the tales are more than just stories. Too many people, they say, have seen the same things, heard the same warnings, and felt the same bone-deep chill when the fog rolls in. Even modern-day adventurers have found themselves unnerved by the lake's atmosphere. Kayakers exploring secluded coves have returned with accounts of distant hammering sounds that seem to follow them. Night fishermen have sworn they saw lantern-like lights bobbing along the shore, only to vanish the moment they tried to investigate. Some visitors wake in the middle of the night at lakeside cabins, convinced they hear footsteps crunching on gravel paths outside, though no one is there. For many, these hauntings are part of what makes Lake Coeur d'Alene unique. The beauty of the water and mountains is undeniable, but so is the sense that history is never far away here. The lake holds the stories of those who came seeking fortune and met with tragedy, their lives cut short by the very land and water they thought would bring them riches. It is a place where the gold rush never truly ended, where the echoes of pickaxes and the cries for help still ride the wind, and where the mist can hide both danger and the lingering shadows of the past. On a bright summer afternoon, it can be hard to imagine the lake as anything but peaceful. Yet those who have been there in the still, early hours, when the fog clings to the water and the world feels hushed, understand why the old miners' tales endure. Somewhere out there, perhaps just beyond sight, the drowned prospector may still be rowing through the mist, forever calling out his warnings to those willing to listen. And maybe, just maybe, the sound of a distant pickaxe on stone isn't just a wind after all. Lake Winnebago, the largest lake in Wisconsin, is renowned for its vast size and natural beauty, stretching over 137,000 acres and touching multiple communities along its shores. By day, it serves as a popular destination for boating, fishing, and family outings. Yet beneath its calm and inviting surface lies a rich tapestry of legends and ghost stories that have captivated locals for generations. The lake's mysterious reputation is deeply tied to its Native American heritage, tragic events, and unexplained phenomena that continue to stir curiosity and fear. The Native American tribes, who originally inhabited the region around Lake Winnebago, believed the lake was sacred. According to tribal lore, the spirits of their ancestors watch over the lake and act as guardians. These protectors ensure the waters remain pure and the natural balance preserved. However, the legends warn that those who disrespect the lake by polluting its waters or disturbing its wildlife incur the wrath of these spirits. Locals recount stories of misfortune, illness, and bad luck befalling anyone who disregards this sacred trust. Among the most famous tales is that of the phantom canoes. On quiet nights, when the moon casts a silver glow across the water, boaters have reported seeing canoes gliding silently and smoothly without any visible occupants. These ghostly vessels move effortlessly over the surface, leaving no wake behind. Witnesses say the canoes seem to emerge from the mist, appearing and disappearing as if part of an ancient ritual. Many believe these are the spirits of Native American warriors or hunters who continue their eternal watch over the lake. In addition to the phantom canoes, strange lights have been observed flickering beneath the lake's surface. Some describe these lights as glowing orbs or flickering flames, moving mysteriously in the depths. Attempts to explain the phenomenon have ranged from natural bioluminescence to underwater methane bubbles. But for many, the lights represent the presence of something supernatural. Local fishermen often speak of these glowing lights as omens or signs from the spirit world. One particularly haunting figure is the ghostly woman in white, who is said to appear along the shores of Lake Winnebago, wandering the shoreline in mourning. Legend holds that she is the spirit of a woman who lost her love tragically, whether through drowning, war, or illness, and now her restless soul searches endlessly for her lost companion. Sightings of the woman in white have been reported for over a century, often near quiet coves or deserted beaches, especially on misty or fog-laden evenings. Fishermen on Lake Winnebago have long shared stories of eerie experiences that go beyond ordinary fishing tales. Many report sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature while out on the water, accompanied by an unsettling silence that blankets the lake. In these moments, the usual sounds of birds, insects, or distant engines fade away, replaced by an eerie stillness that unsettles even the most seasoned anglers. It is often during these times that mysterious disappearances have occurred, adding to the lake's chilling reputation. Several accounts tell of fishermen or boaters vanishing without explanation, leaving behind their boats, drifting aimlessly, or belongings abandoned on the shore. These disappearances remain unsolved, and the only traces left are whispered ghost stories and local legends. Some say the lake's protective spirits have claimed those who disrespect the water, while others believe malevolent forces lurk beneath the depths, pulling the unwary into the darkness. The community around Lake Winnebago embraces these stories as part of their cultural heritage. While many enjoy the lake's recreational offerings, they also respect the warnings passed down through generations. The tales serve as reminders of the lake's power and the importance of stewardship. Local festivals and storytelling events often feature recountings of these ghostly legends, blending history, mystery, and respect for the natural world. The lake's haunted reputation has also attracted paranormal enthusiasts and curious visitors eager to experience its mysteries firsthand. Nighttime boat tours and guided walks along the shore sometimes include stops at known haunted spots, where guides share the chilling tales of phantom canoes, glowing lights, and the woman in white. Some visitors hope to glimpse the supernatural for themselves, while others simply enjoy the thrill of the stories. Despite its eerie legends, Lake Winnebago remains a vibrant and cherished part of Wisconsin's landscape. Its natural beauty, abundant wildlife, and recreational opportunities continue to draw visitors year-round. Yet for those who know the lake's history, the haunting presence beneath the surface adds a deeper layer of intrigue and respect. The spirits said to guard the lake, whether benevolent protectors or sorrowful souls, remind everyone that this vast body of water holds secrets beyond the ordinary. Whether the phantom canoes truly glide across the water at night, or the woman in white still mourns her lost love, the stories of Lake Winnebago endure. They connect the past with the present and remind all who visit that some places carry a weight of history and mystery that can never be fully explained. In the quiet moments by the shore, as the sun sets and shadows lengthen, the spirits of Lake Winnebago seem to whisper their stories on the wind, inviting all who listen to respect, wonder, and remember. Lake Crescent, nestled deep within Washington's Olympic National Park, is renowned for its breathtaking beauty and pristine, crystal-clear waters. Surrounded by towering evergreen forests and rugged mountain peaks, the lake offers visitors a serene escape into nature's splendor. But beneath its calm blue surface and a tranquil wilderness lies a history shrouded in mystery and whispers of the supernatural. For centuries, Lake Crescent has been the subject of Native American legends and eerie tales that continue to captivate and unsettle those who venture near its shores. Long before the park was established, the area around Lake Crescent was home to the Clallam people, a Native American tribe that regarded the lake as sacred. According to their oral traditions, the lake is protected by powerful spirits who guard its waters and surrounding forests. These guardians are said to be fiercely protective, punishing anyone who dares to disrespect or trespass on their sacred land. The tribe's elders pass down stories warning of strange happenings, no explained noises, sudden fogs, and ghostly apparitions as reminders to honor the lake's sanctity. Visitors to Lake Crescent today sometimes report eerie experiences that echo these ancient legends. Many speak of hearing faint whispers carried by the wind, laughter that seems to come from nowhere, or voices murmuring just beyond the tree line after dark. Campers and hikers often find themselves glancing nervously into the shadows, feeling the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some say the laughter is playful, but tinged with sorrow, as if the spirits are both welcoming and mourning. One of the most mysterious phenomena associated with Lake Crescent is the flickering of ghostly lights across its surface. As night falls and darkness envelops the forest, some visitors claim to see small orbs of light bobbing and dancing over the water. These lights drift silently, moving with a purpose, but always staying just out of reach. Attempts to approach or capture these lights on camera often fail, with the orbs disappearing the moment one gets close. Locals and park rangers alike have heard stories of these spectral glows, though their origins remain unknown. Some believe they are manifestations of the spirits protecting the lake, while others speculate they might be natural phenomena yet to be understood. Perhaps the most unsettling reports come from those who have glimpsed shadowy figures rising from the depths of the lake itself. Fishermen and boaters occasionally describe seeing vague human-like shapes just beneath the surface, their outlines blurred and shifting like smoke underwater. These forms sometimes seem to reach upward toward the surface before dissolving into the depths. Those who have tried to investigate say the water is impossibly clear, yet the figures vanish without a trace as soon as they approach. Whether these are spirits trapped beneath the lake or illusions conjured by the mind, the stories persist. Among the many haunting tales tied to Lake Crescent, none is as well known or as poignant as that of the young woman who drowned in its waters. The story dates back to the early 1900s, around the time the old Lake Crescent Lodge was first built. According to legend, a beautiful young woman from a nearby town fell deeply in love with the local man. On one fateful summer day, she ventured out onto the lake with him in a small boat. A sudden storm arose, catching them off guard. The waves grew fierce, and as the boat capsized, the young woman was swept beneath the cold waters. Despite desperate efforts to save her, she drowned. Her body never recovered. Since then, numerous visitors have reported sightings of a ghostly figure near the lodge, often described as a woman dressed in flowing white or pale blue, her hair wet and clinging to her face. She is seen standing along the shoreline, gazing longingly across the lake, as if searching for her lost love. Some say she appears just before storms, a silent warning to those who venture out onto the water. Others hear soft sobbing or whispering carried on the wind near the old dock where she was last seen. Those who have encountered her describe a profound sadness in her presence, mixed with a strange sense of peace. The legend of the drowned woman is deeply intertwined with the lake's reputation as a place where the natural and supernatural worlds intersect. Her story serves as both a cautionary tale and a reminder of the lake's power. Over the years, it has been passed down from generation to generation, growing in detail and emotion. For some, it is a tragic romance, frozen in time. For others, a symbol of respect for the forces that govern the wilderness. Lake Crescent's haunted reputation has not deterred visitors, but it has certainly added an element of mystique to their experience. Tourists and locals alike are drawn not only by the lake's beauty, but also by the stories that surround it. Many make pilgrimages to the lodge and its shoreline, hoping to catch a glimpse of the woman in white or witness the flickering lights. Photographers and ghost hunters have spent countless hours on the water and in the forests, capturing eerie images and sounds that only deepen the lake's enigmatic aura. The natural environment itself seems to play a role in the lake's otherworldly atmosphere. The dense canopy of trees often casts deep shadows, and the steep cliffs surrounding parts of the lake create echoes that carry sounds farther than expected. Mists and fogs frequently roll in from the mountains, enveloping the lake in a veil of white that can appear almost supernatural. These conditions make it easy to imagine spirits lurking just beyond sight, watching silently from the edges of the woods, or rising slowly from the depths below. Even the wildlife seems to respect the lake's mysterious nature. Fishermen note that on particularly still nights, the usual chorus of frogs and insects falls eerily silent. Birds vanish from their usual perches, and even the fish seem to avoid the surface. It's in these moments that many say the lake feels truly alive, not just as a body of water, but as a realm where the veil between worlds is thin. Whether one believes in ghosts or dismisses these stories as folklore, there is no denying that Lake Crescent is a place of deep enchantment. Its natural beauty captivates all who visit, but its haunted past reminds us that beneath that beauty lie stories of loss, love, and respect for the unknown. The lake continues to inspire wonder, fear, and reverence, a timeless place where the spirits of the past may still roam, guarding the sacred waters and the memories they hold. For those who find themselves standing on the shores of Lake Crescent at dusk, when the last light fades and the woods fall silent, it's easy to understand why so many are drawn to its mysteries. The whispers from the forest, the flickering lights on the water, and the shadowy figures that rise and fall with the waves all weave together into a story that is as much a part of the lake as the stones and trees. And perhaps, if one listens closely, the young woman in white is still out there waiting, watching, and hoping to be reunited with her lost love beneath the ever-watchful guardianship of Lake Crescent's spirits. Lake Worth Lagoon, nestled along the southeastern coast of Florida, is a scenic estuary connected to the vast Atlantic Ocean. By day, it serves as a lively hub for fishing, boating, and waterside relaxation, but as night falls over the tranquil waters, many locals whisper about the paranormal mysteries that linger beneath the surface. The lagoon has a long and storied history, marked by numerous drownings, shipwrecks, and unexplained phenomena that have fueled ghost stories for decades. The lagoon stretches for miles, weaving between coastal towns and marinas. With salt marshes and mangroves lining its shores, its connection to the Atlantic has made it an important route for fishermen and sailors, but also a treacherous passage fraught with hidden dangers. Over the years, the waters have claimed countless lives. Storms, sudden currents, and navigational hazards have led to many drownings and the sinking of vessels. These tragic events seem to have left a lingering presence, according to local lore. One of the most enduring ghost stories of Lake Worth Lagoon is that of the phantom ships. On dark, moonless nights, witnesses have reported seeing ghostly vessels silently gliding across the water. These apparitions resemble old sailing ships or fishing boats, often shrouded in an eerie mist. The ghost ships sail without a sound, cutting through the lagoon like shadows. Some say they are the spirits of vessels lost to storms or accidents, forever trapped between the world of the living and the dead. Fishermen who brave the waters after dusk often share chilling tales. Many claim to have heard disembodied voices calling out from empty boats, whispering unintelligible words carried by the breeze. Others describe footsteps echoing on decks that are completely deserted. These unexplained sounds sometimes send shivers down their spines, making even the bravest fishermen think twice about returning to the water at night. Among the most spine-tingling stories is the legend of the drowned sailor. According to the tale, a sailor once lost his life in the lagoon during a violent storm. His body was never recovered, but his spirit is said to haunt the docks where he once worked. Witnesses describe seeing a glowing figure near the water's edge. A spectral sailor, clad in tattered clothing, illuminated by a ghostly light. This apparition is not merely a passive presence, it is said to appear as a warning to those nearby. Locals believe that the glowing sailor emerges before storms or other dangerous conditions. Boaters who have spotted him claim that shortly afterward, the weather turns fierce or accidents occur on the water. Some say he is a guardian spirit, trying to protect others from meeting the same fate he did. Others believe he is doomed to roam the lagoon forever, trapped by the tragedy that claimed his life. The docks around Lake Worth Lagoon, especially in older fishing communities, have become hotspots for paranormal encounters. Late-night visitors often report sudden drops in temperature, a classic sign of a ghostly presence. Shadows flicker at the edge of vision, and strange lights dance on the water's surface. Some have even captured unexplained orbs on camera, glowing softly against the dark backdrop of the lagoon. The haunted reputation of Lake Worth Lagoon is also tied to its history as a site of numerous shipwrecks. Beneath the surface lie the remains of wooden hulls, broken masts, and scattered cargo remnants of vessels that met their end in these waters. Divers and treasure hunters have occasionally found artifacts from sunken ships, adding a tangible connection to the past tragedies. Many believe the spirits of those lost in these wrecks still wander the lagoon, especially during stormy weather or anniversaries of their deaths. The paranormal stories surrounding Lake Worth Lagoon have inspired local folklore and tourism alike. Guided ghost tours have become popular, especially during the cooler months, when the evenings grow longer and the air feels charged with mystery. These tours often include visits to the docks, old marinas, and shoreline parks, where sightings have been reported. Tour guides share first-hand accounts from fishermen and longtime residents, weaving together historical facts with chilling tales. Despite the eerie reputation, the lagoon continues to be a cherished part of the community. Fishermen, boaters, and residents respect the stories, often sharing them with a mix of awe and caution. For many, the legends are not just spooky tales, but a reminder of the lagoon's powerful, sometimes dangerous nature. The stories serve as a bridge between the living and those who have been lost to the water. Lake Worth Lagoon remains a place where history and mystery intertwine. The natural beauty of the area contrasts sharply with the ghostly tales that surround it, creating a unique atmosphere that captivates both locals and visitors. Whether it's the silent ghost ships drifting in the night, the disembodied voices on empty decks, or the glowing figure of the drowned sailor, the paranormal presence in the lagoon is a constant, haunting reminder of lives touched and lost by the sea. For those who visit Lake Worth Lagoon, the stories add a thrilling dimension to the experience. As the sun sets and shadows lengthen over the water, the lagoon's supernatural legends come alive in the imagination. The ghostly sailors and spectral vessels may be nothing more than folklore, but for many, the lake's haunted past is very real, waiting quietly beneath the surface, ready to reveal itself to those who dare to look. As we close our journey tonight, remember, these lakes hold more than just water. They hold memories, spirits, and warnings from the past. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, these haunted waters remind us that some places carry a history too dark to ignore. Thank you for joining me on this eerie exploration. If you enjoyed the tales and want to hear more spine-chilling stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for new videos every week. Until next time, keep your lights low and your senses sharp, because you never know what might be lurking just beneath the surface.